بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. We continue the explanation of Riyad As-Saleheen, and this is chapter 3. This is chapter 3. Chapter on As-Sabr, on patience. قال الله تعالى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the Most High says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اصبروا وصابروا. اصبروا وصابروا, as in Surah Al-Imran chapter 3 verse 200. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اصبروا وصابروا. O who you believe, endure and be more patient. وقال تعالى in Surah Al-Baqarah in chapter 2 verse 155, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. And certainly we shall test you with something of fear, hunger, loss of wealth, lives and fruits, but give glad tidings to الصابرين, the patient ones. وقال تعالى in Surah Al-Zumar 39:10, إنما يوفى الصابرون أجرهم بغير حساب. Only those who are patient shall receive their reward in full, without reckoning. وقال الله تعالى in Surah Al-Shura 42:43, ولمن صبر وغفر إن ذلك لمن عزم الأمور. And verily, whoever shows patience and forgives, that would truly be from the things recommended by Allah. وقال تعالى in Surah Al-Baqarah 153, استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين. Seek help in patience and salah. Seek help in patience and as-salah, the prayer. Truly Allah is with as-sabirin, the patient ones. وقال تعالى in Surah Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ حَتَّى نَعْلَمَ الْمُجَاهِدِينَ مِنْكُمْ وَالصَّابِرِينَ. And surely we shall try you till we test those who strive hard for the cause of Allah, and as-sabirin, the patient ones. The discussion. Linguistically, the term as-sabr means refrainment, refraining oneself. Linguistically, the term as-sabr means refrainment, refraining oneself. And Islamically, in Sharia, it means refraining oneself from three things. Refraining oneself from, or rather, refraining oneself, A, to endure the obedience to Allah. To endure the obedience to Allah. The second, to refrain oneself from committing what is forbidden by Allah. To refrain oneself from committing what is forbidden by Allah. And third, to refrain oneself upon, or train oneself upon, enduring the painful decrees by Allah. These are the three types of patience which the people of knowledge had mentioned. As to the first one, the believer is patient regarding the endurance on obedience to Allah, because obedience is heavy on the self, because obedience is heavy on the self and is difficult on man. Not only that, but it could be also difficult on the body. Also, there could be some hardship from the financial side, like with the case of zakah and in the case of hajj pilgrimage. So therefore, in general, obedience involves some hardships upon the self as well as the body, and therefore it needs sabr, it needs patience and endurance. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu asbiru wa sabiru wa rabitu, as mentioned earlier in Surah Al-Imran. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu asbiru wa sabiru wa rabitu. O who you believe, endure and be more patient. The second matter is refraining oneself from committing the forbidden, what is decreed as forbidden, because the self is inclined. So the person tries to refrain the self from lying, cheating in transactions, illegal ways of earning, riba, usury, adultery, drinking alcohol, theft, and the like. So the person refrains himself such that he doesn't indulge in these actions, and this requires endurance, and in this there is some suffering to refrain the self against its own desires. The third matter is to be patient upon the painful universal decrees which befalls man. Some of these are painful, as I said. They don't fit man, and such man will be afflicted with calamities in his body, in his wealth, in his family, in his society. The types of afflictions are many, and they all require endurance and patience. And in this case, the person will act to hold himself and refrain it from manifesting resentfulness by the tongue or by the heart or on the body parts. That is because upon the occurrence of the calamity, the person has 4 reactions. First, resentfulness. There are those who resent. And the second is patience. And the third is acceptance and contentment. Acceptance and contentment. And the fourth is gratitude. And the fourth is gratitude. The first one, being resentful in his heart or in his tongue, on his tongue or by his body parts. Resentfulment yes, in the heart. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. Is to have some kind of a position against Allah, anger, discontent, and the like. Feeling as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had incurred upon him injustice and dealt with him unjustly or unjustly. This is the kind of resentfulness in the heart. As to the resentfulness on the tongue, this is like invoking upon himself destruction, saying, "Ooh to me, ooh to me," or that he goes and insults time, and in this way he will be insulting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of time. And the third is resentfulness by body parts upon falling upon calamities. You see them striking their faces or heads, slapping their heads, plucking their hair, tearing their clothes, and this is seen. Many people do that upon falling under the test of calamities. This is the situation with respect to resentfulness. This is the case of those who are deprived of reward, and they are not saved from the calamity. Rather, they earned the sin. So now they have two calamities. One in the deen, by being resentful, and the second in this life, whereby they are touched by that which is painful to them. This is due to their impatience. The second situation is to react in a patient way, refrain himself, while disliking the calamity. Doesn't like it, and he doesn't like that it befell him, but he makes himself patient. He doesn't say on his tongue that which is a kind of resentment, nor does he act by his body parts in ways that would bring the wrath of Allah, and also does not have in his heart anything against Allah. So he is patient, but he dislikes the calamity. This is another level. Third level is contentment. Person having an open breast concerning this calamity, accepting it fully, as if not being touched by it at all. The fourth level of reaction is ash-shukr, gratitude. Thanks Allah for choosing him to receive this calamity. And the Prophet ﷺ used to say, whenever he disliked something, he used to say, Alhamdulillahi ala kulli hal. All praise is due to Allah, ala kulli hal, under all situations, under all conditions. So he gives thanks to Allah. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him reward on this calamity much more than that of the calamity that touched him. And that's why it is mentioned that concerning a woman worshipper, that she was touched by a calamity in her finger. So she praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. And they told her, how come you praise Allah and your finger has been touched by such and such? She said, إن حلاوة أجرها أنستني مرارة صبرها. The sweetness of its reward made me forget the bitterness of its patience. This is the situation where the calamity is painful. It could also be that the decree of Allah could be suiting a person, and therefore it requires a shukr, gratitude, and gratitude is from obedience. So inshallah ta'ala we'll stop here as an introduction for this, in the introduction for this chapter, and then in the next chapter, inshallah, in the next talk, we'll talk about the interpretation of these verses which the author rahimahullah cited as reference on this subject. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.